Have you ever noticed that some people seem to wield a quiet, almost magnetic influence over their surroundings? They don't shout, they don't plead, they simply step back, and suddenly, everything shifts. People start to question, to seek, to feel. Now, imagine if you tried the same. What if, instead of reacting immediately to every situation, you chose silence? Instead of responding impulsively, you paused. What would happen? This is the moment where true power begins, when you stop being constantly available emotionally, mentally, and physically. Most people are used to controlling you through your reactions, your predictable behavior. But the moment you withdraw, the game changes. Those who thought they understood you discover they know nothing at all. Carl Jung once said, "Everything that irritates us about others can lead us to a better understanding of ourselves." Think about it. When you become inaccessible, who really struggles? Who becomes agitated? Who tries to provoke you just to get a reaction? This reveals more about them than about you, and it shows how often you've been unconsciously giving your energy away. Every automatic yes, every instant reply, every emotional response drains a piece of your vitality. Over time, what's left is exhaustion, frustration, and emptiness. Why? Because you've been giving too much to people who never deserved even a fraction of your attention. This is not about turning your back on the world. It's about choosing yourself. Jung called this individuation, the process of becoming whole, authentic, and complete. And it starts with understanding that silence can be more powerful than 1,000 arguments. A conscious withdrawal is a statement of inner strength, not avoidance. Ask yourself, how long will you let others' emotions control you? How long will you react like a puppet, pulled by their impulses? Perhaps it's time to cut those strings, to retreat, to embrace mystery. When you stop being available, everything changes. From childhood, many of us are conditioned to always say yes, to respond quickly, to please others. We're taught that our value lies in our availability. But here's the truth. Excessive availability is not a virtue. It's a cage. And as long as you believe you must be accessible all the time, you'll be drained, manipulated, and forgotten as soon as you're no longer useful. Being predictable makes you a tool. People start using you as an emotional emergency button, pressing it when they need attention, validation, or relief. Meanwhile, you keep believing that being there for everyone ensures someone will be there for you. It doesn't work that way. Jung spoke about the persona, the mask we wear to be accepted and loved. This mask keeps us overly available. We respond immediately, justify ourselves, defend ourselves, and try to control how others perceive us. But this costs us our peace and energy, resources that are limited. People who constantly demand your availability don't want you. They want what you provide. Attention, validation, emotional comfort. When you stop reacting, when you set boundaries, they become irritated. It's not that you've changed. It's that you are no longer serving their needs. The more available you are, the less value they place on you. What is always present becomes taken for granted. So, stop and ask, who truly deserves your time, attention, and presence? Who deserves your absence? Why do we react so easily? Why do we feel compelled to please? Jung explained that it's about psychic energy, the inner resource that powers our thoughts, emotions, and actions. Wasting it on reactive behavior leaves you vulnerable. People with manipulative tendencies can sense this weakness and exploit it. A healthy psyche conserves energy. It knows how to say no without guilt, how to stay silent without fear, and how to observe before acting. True power is in choice, not reaction. Every impulsive reply, every wasted emotion, is energy leaving your system. Your reactions can feed cycles of manipulation and self-sabotage. Emotional exhaustion makes you easy prey for opportunists who sense your vulnerability. Jung warned, "What you resist persists." Observing your triggers, the points where your energy escapes, is the first step to mastery. The goal isn't to become cold or indifferent, but to be selective, sovereign over yourself. Conserving your energy breaks the projections others place upon you, and this often provokes discomfort in them. Opportunistic people thrive on your reactions. When you stop reacting, when you respond with silence, when you withdraw, the mask they projected onto you crumbles. They no longer know who you are, and suddenly, they must face themselves. Your unavailability becomes a silent force, revealing their dependence on your emotional responses. In this modern, noisy world, true power lies in silence. Not passive silence, but conscious, strategic, and deliberate stillness. It amplifies presence. It allows observation. It reveals patterns of manipulation and cycles of self-sabotage. Silence gives clarity, a dangerous clarity for those who seek to control you. Real silence is mastery over your energy. It is the refusal to be drawn into battles that do not serve your purpose. It is the choice to preserve yourself. Jung believed that individuation, the journey to becoming yourself, requires this distance. Only in quiet can you hear your own voice. Silence comes with a cost. It alienates those who valued you only for the role you played. It may make you seem cold or distant, but this is the reaction of those who never wanted to engage with your true self. The more mature you become, the more selective your words are, because each word is an energetic investment. Being selectively unavailable is sovereignty. It is the language of those who no longer need to prove themselves. Your absence forces others to confront their own internal chaos, revealing more about them than any argument could. The strongest silence is reconstructive. It rebuilds you from within and reconnects you to your essence. Before you even begin reclaiming your energy, it's crucial to confront the hidden patterns that silently dictate how you give yourself away. For years, perhaps decades, you've been conditioned to believe that your value is measured by your availability, your compliance, your willingness to absorb the emotional burdens of others. From childhood, subtle lessons were planted. Respond quickly, accommodate every request, justify every decision, and never disrupt the expectations of those around you. But what if all of this conditioning was a trap? A subtle form of control that quietly siphons your energy, leaving you exhausted, anxious, and perpetually reactive. Take a moment to reflect on how often your presence is demanded but not genuinely appreciated. How often do people expect you to soothe their insecurities, validate their choices, or fix problems that are not yours to solve? Notice the invisible cost of saying yes automatically. The minutes, hours, and even years of your life quietly consumed, leaving behind fatigue, frustration, and a strange emptiness that cannot be explained. This is the subtle, insidious price of overavailability. The world receives the best of you, while you are left with scraps of peace, fragments of energy, and a growing sense of disconnection from your own self. Now, imagine what happens when you step back, not as an act of anger or withdrawal, but as a conscious reclaiming of your sovereignty. By creating space, you stop the endless cycle of reaction. You begin to observe rather than respond, to understand rather than please. Patterns that were invisible become clear. The emotional manipulations, the cycles of dependence, the silent pressures that have shaped your behavior. You start to recognize who genuinely values you and who only values what you provide. This realization is both liberating and unsettling because it forces you to confront the reality of relationships built on expectation rather than mutual respect. In this new awareness, boundaries are no longer arbitrary. They are sacred. Every no becomes a declaration of self-respect. Every pause before responding is a reclaiming of your time and energy. Every decision to withdraw from unnecessary drama is a demonstration of your inner power. You start to see that silence is not emptiness. It is presence, strength, and clarity. The energy you once scattered thoughtlessly is now concentrated, intentional, and deeply nourishing. You are no longer a resource to be drained. You are the keeper of your own vitality. In this space, you reconnect with your own desires, your own rhythm, and your own truth, free from the expectations of others, unapologetically aligned with your authentic self. As you deepen this practice of conscious withdrawal, it becomes evident that reclaiming your energy is not merely about saying no or retreating from others. It is about understanding that every reaction, every automatic compliance, has been feeding unseen patterns of control over your psyche. Carl Jung once observed, "Everything that irritates us about others can lead us to a better understanding of ourselves." When you recognize the sources of your irritation, the triggers that prompt immediate responses, you uncover where your energy has been silently drained. You realize that your willingness to react, to justify, to placate, is often a surrender to the expectations and emotional demands of those around you. This realization can be unsettling because it exposes the invisible levers others have been pulling, but it is also liberating, for in understanding, you gain the choice. Jung emphasized the importance of individuation, the process of becoming whole, authentic, and self-directed. By observing your impulses without immediately acting on them, you reclaim ownership of your psychic energy. You no longer scatter yourself to maintain the comfort of others. Instead, you align your actions with your inner truth. You notice how certain relationships only thrive when you serve as an emotional buffer, and how the more you withdraw consciously, the more the dynamics shift. People who were accustomed to your constant availability begin to confront their own dependence, and you finally see that your presence is not a commodity to be exploited. It is a force, a field of awareness that must be respected. In this expanded awareness, silence becomes a profound tool. It is not absence, but a deliberate presence, a protective force, and a mirror reflecting the unseen emotional patterns around you. By conserving your energy, you disrupt the projections of others, and as Jung taught, the more you react, the more you bind yourself. Here, conscious unavailability is transformative. It dismantles manipulation, clarifies intention, and nurtures your inner power. Every choice to pause, to step back, to observe, is an affirmation that your energy belongs to you first. Through this, you are not only protecting yourself, you are practicing mastery over your own life, reclaiming a sovereignty that was always yours but long ignored. Now, it's time to reclaim your energy, to set boundaries, to protect your peace. Start small. Pause before responding, leave a draining discussion. Turn off your phone guilt-free. Say, "Not today. I'm not interested. I won't get involved." You don't owe anyone explanations. Through this process, you discover your power. You may lose people, but you will find yourself. You may be misunderstood, but you will be respected. Unavailability makes you rare, valuable, unforgettable. This is a rebirth, a new beginning where you only allow what resonates with your truth and your peace. Being loved means nothing if you must abandon yourself. True self-love begins when you choose yourself, even if it means being alone for a while. Are you ready to be misunderstood, rejected, or even hated for the sake of your inner freedom?